Did Keith Hillier get a note to say he'll be away for Dubai for this the big race? Or
no, you'll find, David, when you're here, of course, for much longer, that Keith is an international traveller, an international race goer. Of course, if there's a race meeting on in Afghanistan, you'll find that Keith Hillier will find a way to get there.
And he won't get our permission, will he? He just leaves us in the lurch like this on a Sunday while he jet sets around the world?
Well, that's the freewheeling playboy he is.
Well, what he missed, though, was what you saw yesterday. They billed it as the possible race of the decade. And, of course, it was a sensational finish with Octagonal, reigning supreme over Saintly, and Nothing Like a Dane.
Yeah, well, Keith Hillier can have Cigar, I'll have Octagonal.
Fantastic.
Because I thought it was a magnificent performance, thoroughly deserved, when this horse is one of the most courageous I think we've seen in recent years. I don't know whether he's the best, whether he's a Kingston Town, but by gee, he gives his all.
Well, his trainer's joining us, John Hawkes. John, we're going to be talking about the big Guineas later in the program, but the performance of the two-year-olds also was of great interest to you yesterday as you saddle up Clang and Flavour for the big one next weekend.
Yes, David, there was some nice horses racing yesterday, but I wasn't all that worried about the horses that raced yesterday. I think Merlin was very impressive last week, but I feel my two colts have been there from the start, and I'm very happy with them going into the slipper.
What did you glean from yesterday, particularly in the Magic Night Stakes, Max?
I thought the Dashing Eagle was unlucky. Alas, she won't make the slipper. She was runner-up to stablemate Precious Night. Now, that's Dashing Eagle in the brown and yellow colours, missed the jump, and I think that was vital to a prospect. You can see her surging up on the outside now, and she's covering ground, which I think is vital. Meanwhile, her stablemate is on the fence, just having a nice coast.
Followed by Precious Glitter. Oath is between horses. Further back, Count the Steps, and then Elegant Court, Alma Zayun, Priceless Joy wide. A long way back, Welsh Carrioi, followed by Crying and City Devil as they come through the gap onto the course proper. 700 out, Dashing Eagle is just shading last snippet. Stony Fell Road, 3 deep, can't get in, followed by Snarl, Precious Glitter. Oath is strung up between horses. Flappers had a hard run, followed by Tulipano, and then Count the Steps and Priceless Joy. Into the straight, 400 out, Last Snippet and Dashing Eagle. They're the joint leaders. Stony Fell Road running on gamely, followed by Snarl, Precious Glitter as they come to the 200. Last Snippet and Dashing Eagle have kicked away from Stony Fell Road and Precious Glitter into the clear. Dashing Eagle got the better of Last Snippet. Precious Glitter, Priceless Joy wider out, charging home late. Dashing Eagle, Last Snippet, Precious Glitter trying to pick them up as they hit the line, and Precious Glitter got up on the line to beat Dashing Eagle and Last Snippet. Priceless Joy has run fourth. A
lot of interest in the Pago Stakes, and of course Magic of Sydney under a lot of pressure, but a 2-year-old from the bush from Morpeth upset her chances.
Yes, John, were you disappointed in Magic of Sydney? Do you think he backed up well the second week in a row?
Oh, I think he backed up well under the circumstances, Max. I mean, it's very hard for a 2-year-old to continue to keep doing it week in, week out, and he's perhaps a little inexperienced, as I said, whereas my two colts have sort of already had a preparation, a break, and I think the horse has done a good job to get where he's got.
It's tough 3 weeks in a row if it does get a start next weekend.
Well, he's not going to find it easy. As I said, he's still a little bit inexperienced horse. I'm sure he's going to make into a quality horse in the latter 2-year-old days and maybe into a 3-year-old days. But as I said, going into a slipper, you have to have him hard and tough and the experience. And I think my two colts have got both that.
Likelihood, Max, of getting a start, Magic of Sydney. History would suggest no.
I would say on the latest score, Magic of Sydney will just sneak in, but I think 3 Saturdays in a row are too tough for Magic of Sydney, too tough for most 2-year-olds, certainly Magic of Sydney. But, by gee, John, you look well in your working clobber there. All you need is a little of Keith Hillier's pancake makeup and you'd be a 10.
Yeah, that could be right. I might be able to take you over his show, Max, while he's away in Dubai.
Well, the horse in the background there is the mighty Octagonal. We might just go to the Pago Stakes there first up before we talk to John about that outstanding performance.
As they turn for home in the straight, Father Nick about to be
Shane Divers going up outside the leader on Magic of Sydney, and this was a very fast-run race. There was plenty of merit in the performance, but Magic of Sydney, as the race was run, just wasn't good enough for Barbu's Boy, and Barbu's Boy isn't even going to run in the slipper. So I think if Barbu's Boy was mine, he would be going around. I think he's worthy of a try at the $2 million. And what do you think, John? Do you think if Barbu's Boy went around that it would present danger to your two?
Oh, I think he'd definitely be some chance in the race, Max. I mean, he's found the line extremely well yesterday, but it's a lot of money to pay up, to compete in the Golden Slipper. Sure, they're only run once a year, but as I said, if you run Noah, it's very expensive, to pay $100,000.
Well, John, that champion over your left shoulder, you said all week that it would come out and win. What were the signs midweek that was suggest to you that that would be the case at Rosehill yesterday?
Oh, I'd had a lot of people said, you know, the Canterbury run, he wasn't over-impressive and, you know, he didn't sort of do all that much, but I thought his run was excellent, and ever since then he's trained on magnificently, and that was his second start in a race this time in, whereas Saintly had been beaten second up, and nothing like a day. He went to Melbourne, got beaten second up, so... you know, all those sort of signs. As I said, he'd won second up, and the horse had worked tremendous, you know, in the stable this week. And going into the race, you know, I was extremely confident, and I was all week, and it turned out to be that way.
John, what about now? Where will you go with Octagonal? Will he run at Rosehill next Saturday, or will you save him for the AJC Derby?
Well, just see how he does all week, Max. As I said, it's still very hard for horses to front up 3 weeks in a row at that level, but I haven't ruled it out, but we'll perhaps wait till about Thursday morning, see how he works, and just see how he does in the stable, you know, and that. But he's pulled up very well this morning. He's lovely and bright. He licked out last night, so there's a possibility, but, you know, I'm not going to say that until Thursday morning, but he'll definitely run in the Derby the following week.
We might go back to the action from the Guineas yesterday, and fair to say, John, that all three of the top starters had every chance and were extremely well ridden yesterday.
Yeah, it was a great race, really, under the circumstance. They all had their opportunity, and I think on the day, you know, the best horse won on the day, whether, you know, that happens next time or not. But it was great to see three good horses go to the line, and with such a short margin, you know, apart, and they all had their opportunity.
So the beautiful part here is, David, that Darren Beedman was able to get to Octagonal over to one off the rail so quickly and travelling, and that was a masterstroke of horsemanship, and Beedman really is on fire. He looks like developing into one of the greats. His form at present is there's just no way to describe it, scintillating.
Tremendous battle going on in this colour with he and Shane Dye.
Yes, but
he's had the better of him this week.
Yeah, every time you match Shane and Darren in the big ones, so far it has been Darren.
What makes him so special, John?
Well, I think, you know, he's already been a great young rider. I mean, he rode a Golden Slipper winner as an apprentice, and I think going to Hong Kong, I think riding perhaps against the best riders in the world, I'm sure that's helped his, you know, his experience, and I think he's just come back a better rider for that, and perhaps being a little bit more mature, but he, as Max said, he certainly is riding at the top of the tree at present.
He's got a big fella to handle here. What's the relationship between he and Octagonal?
Yeah, well, he's only rode him the twice, David, and he's handled him, you know, well, extremely well both times, but, you know, like, they're a great combination, and like, he is a top horse and a top jockey, and as it's going now, they're suiting each other.
More standing ovations at Rosehill yesterday. They've seen some tremendous champions in recent weeks.
Yes, remarkable. There are only just over 16,000 at Rosehill yesterday, David. I thought it was a match worthy of 40, but the 16,000 really enjoyed themselves, and they sounded like 40.
Up on the outside, Saintly is going to have the last shot at them. Octagonal just in front of Nothing Like a Dane. Saintly on the outside. Octagonal just in front as they get near home. Saintly lunge. Octagonal. Octagonal wins the Guineas from either Saintly on the outside or Nothing Like a Dane.
John, what was the initial reaction as it went past the post?
Well, you know, actually, as I said, I've been confident all week, David. I mean, even though I could see the other horse coming at him,
Do you get excited?
Well, I didn't yesterday. As I said, I was pretty confident. I treat them as another race. I know they're Group 1 races, but I feel at that level you've just got to treat them as another race, because if, you know, win or lose, you sort of got to start and do things, get ready for next week. So I try not to get too worked up. Cox Plate Day, I got extremely excited, but that was perhaps, you know, just something extra special, taking nothing away from yesterday. I said it was a great race, and it was great to see the horses finish like they did.
Max, did we see a likely winner of the Doncaster yesterday?
Yes, I thought that Buzz-Off's performance was very, very good in the Royal Palmer. John, have you got one in the stable there that can beat Buzz-Off in the Doncaster?
No, his run was very impressive yesterday, Max. I mean, I'm maybe hoping to run Shame or Hedge, and at this stage they're perhaps not quite up to that level, but you never know, you know, barrier draws and things do change in racing, so you never do know. But at this stage he does look the logical favourite.
And that's Buzz-Off in the pink colours just behind the leaders, inside the yellow and black colours there. Wayne Harris gets him balanced, and you can see he's taking a little bit of time to get on his right leg, but watch the acceleration when he gets his mind on the job.
Mozzie O'Tunya hit the lead 100 out. Now Buzz-Off is about to take off. Buzz-Off has raced past Mozzie O'Tunya and Pim Parler Son, and Buzz-Off put pay to them quickly and raced away to win. Probably Pimpala Sun second, Persian Flyer third, not suited by a slow pace early, and then Mozzie.
Well, John, no doubt that you'll include both Clang and Flavour in your trifecta next week, but can you give us 1, 2, 3 in the Golden Slipper for next week?
Well, I think I'll run 1, 2, and I think Merlin will run third, David, so I think that'll be a good trifecta.
Pretty fair judge on that too, I think.
I think the barrier draw is very vital, and perhaps John might like to remember last year when one of his horses, Strategic, drew badly, and it certainly cost him the Golden Slipper.
Well, John, you said you didn't get terribly excited yesterday, but I'm sure great delight if you can double it up with a win in the Golden Slipper next week. We thank you for joining us on the show.
Thanks very much, David.
Okay. And what have we got to follow from your little black book?
Yes, well, I do think that Priceless Joy can be placed to win, certainly not a Golden Slipper. Nothing Like a Dane hasn't been on our list of horses to follow. I think he had more scope for improvement than the other pair yesterday, but they're going to be 3-horse wars whenever they meet, and I do think Buzz Off will win the Doncaster.
And your tip for the Slipper?
I'd like to wait for the barrier draw, but at this stage I would say just marginally Merlin.
Okay, one of the floor managers just had a shot at that tie of yours, Keith. I said it suggested, Max had suggested power.
You just made a major blue there. Anybody that calls me Keith, yes.
But it suggests power, but you said there are rare exceptions in life.
There are. I'll take it home and burn it.
Okay. Well,